Captain's Log, Sailing Vessel Aequus, Day 8, the worst day of the crossing. The swell is large, 4 to 5 meters. Partly cloudy, wind 30.7 knots sustained. Currently, the boat is reaching at 7.5 knots, bearing 077 degrees. Total engine hours, 10. Nautical miles to destination, 382. We lost the autopilot again. Around 7:30 this morning, the boat rounded up and started beating into 15-foot waves. I'm not sure if the rudders are being overpowered or possibly it's some kind of software glitch. Seems to me, if we take a wave big enough, it'll push us off course and cause a heading hold alarm. I've explained this in earlier logs. Suffice to say, it's the same alarm as the loss of power alarm, so it freaks everybody out. Normally, this is corrected automatically, but around 2% of the time, the autopilot just can't hold it and throws in the towel. I'm done. See you guys later. This sends everything in the entire boat flying. I'm not complaining, though. This glitch is a small price to pay for a working autopilot. Bungee cords just wouldn't work in these conditions. And I would know. We sailed 2,000 nautical miles from Ecuador to Easter Island with no autopilot. Just bungee cords on the wheel. It actually worked surprisingly well. They just need adjusting for the wind speed. More wind equals more pressure on the rudder, equals more pressure on the wheel, equals more pressure on the bungee cord. I ended up sailing all the way to Easter Island like that, only hand steering for the last 100 miles or so. And I tell you this not to brag, but to give you ideas if you're ever in the same situation. It is possible. But I digress. We are currently sailing on a single reef jib alone, having put away the rest of the mainsail after the autopilot went berserk. That seemed to help a little bit. Pretty impressive numbers this morning. Top wind speed, 42 knots. Top boat speed, 16.4 knots. Maximum wave height, 5 meters. We've actually had to move the watch downstairs as waves are breaking into the cockpit and filling it with water. I'm worried it's going to wash someone right off the deck. We're tired today. Nobody can sleep in this tumultuous amusement park ride. Let me off now. If only it were so easy. Yoni is cooking us potatoes and eggs. Everybody loves him. He's a great addition to our motley pack of fools. I just hope he's comfortable. He's been sleeping on the couch for this entire trip. I suppose when I was 20, a couch was just fine. Actually, because of the position of the couch on the central axis of the boat, it's one of the most comfortable places to sleep. Okay, I need to vent to you guys for just a minute. I am not impressed with all this electronic bull. So many screens and numbers and data. I'm not even sure what to trust. 14 knots of current? Really? The speed and direction seems right, but the touch screens just stop working if they get any water splashed on them. And there's a lot of water outside. Even downstairs with a totally dry machine, the dang thing is ridiculous to use. Just trying to see boat speed plotted over the last 60 minutes took me 25 minutes to figure out how to pull up. By the time I got it up, I forgot why I needed the info in the first place. $12,000 in chart plotters on this boat, and our little boat on the screen isn't even pointed in the right direction. And what the hell is this stupid kill button? No warning? You're just gonna shut off the entire boat? Come on, guys. Please fix that. Okay. Invent. Uh-oh. Captain is cranky. I'm gonna go get some tea. Okay, I'm back. full of tea and caffeine and ready to go, ready to go, ready to go. We've sailed 108 miles since I wrote this morning's update just 12 hours ago. That's an average of 8.6 knots. The seas are calming down as the wind is weakening, so we threw out a chunk of the main again. We're surfing, literally surfing, along nicely. The autopilot is steering like a loyal crew member. Currently, it's set to the most responsive setting possible, eating up those precious amp hours. Eat away, little buddy. I'm glad to have you. Without this setting, the boat would definitely round up in the wind, sideways to the waves, and we'd get pounded. There was a time last night where I thought we may have to hand steer just because the waves were so big. The autopilot was really having trouble keeping up. I am very thankful for this Hefe planetary gear. After reading all the literature on the boat about this drive unit, I've come to the conclusion that these are the best, most efficient autopilots in the world. Let me explain. In an electromechanical drive, such as this, you have one energy transformation. You have electrical energy transformed to mechanical energy. In a comparatively strong hydraulic drive unit, which I thought were the best in the world, you have 3 energy transformations. First, you have electrical energy. Transform that into mechanical energy in the electric motor. The electric motor drives a hydraulic pump, and that transforms the energy into hydraulic energy. Then the hydraulic energy is transformed into mechanical energy in the cylinder. I won't go into the math here, but suffice to say that this all results in a total efficiency of hydraulic units between 25 and 35%, and electromechanical units between 70 and 80%. That is hugely different. I'm sold. I want one on Zingaro. If you'd like to read about them, I've put a link in the description. Today was all about lack of sleep, hence the title. It's funny how this affects people differently. I get irritable, then lethargic, goofy, and ultimately a bit crazy. I remember one time I was solo sailing through the Tuamotu Islands off French Polynesia, and I had to stay up for 48 hours as not to ground the boat. If you're not familiar with the Tuamotus, they constitute the largest chain of atolls in the world, covering an area roughly the size of Western Europe. They're called the Dangerous Archipelago, and for good reason. The low-lying land makes them really hard to see until they're right on top of you. Couple that with the fact that they're the first thing waves encounter after traveling 3,000 miles across the Pacific, and this makes the waves, the currents, and the seas very powerful in this area. There are wrecked sailboats on nearly every single island. I even saw some with the sails still up. Very disconcerting for any sailor, especially solo. Add that to sleep deprivation, and you've got one crazy sailor. Today, aboard Aequus, was as close to that experience that I've come in the 4 years since visiting French Polynesia. The entire crew was dead tired. Nobody could even have a conversation. Everyone was half sleeping today in the same conditions they couldn't sleep last night. After a good lunch, we started taking waves into the cockpit, had to close up the companionway and turn on the generator. So we started the AC. That did them in. Every single person on the boat, vice the watchstander, was passed out like a rock. I've been chatting over the sat phone with Jordan and Des from Project Aequus. They're a few days behind us. They're doing well, having spent most of the time on a beam reach and 12 knots of wind. Their weather radar has them staying quite a bit more south than us to avoid most of the strong winds, though I imagine they're going to be getting into some more sporty weather soon. I was a bit worried after seeing the forecast behind us. It was wild. Multiple fronts converging right on their boat position. Multiple fronts means multiple waves. Means no fun for anyone, especially a pregnant girl. I'm very glad they have a good weather router and they're staying out of it. We got very lucky with our route. We got propelled by 2 different systems that just came up behind us and lifted us up and threw us across. Today we were in Force 8 all day. Now it's calming down to about Force 6 or 7. Heck, Yoni went through force 12 on his last boat. That makes our paltry 42 knots seem like angel kisses. It looks like we're going to arrive sometime Sunday. Can't say when. I have a patron-only sweepstakes for every crossing that we do. The winner gets a bottle of champagne and a t-shirt. Did any of you pick that day? I've got a special surprise for the winner of this one. Big news! Anna just boarded her plane. Big thanks to my pop for getting her a last-minute return ticket. Turns out they didn't accept any of the paperwork I sent with her and adamantly refused to allow her to board. She had my dad's number as an emergency contact, so in their first ever conversation, Anna was crying. Poor thing. Everything worked out though, and she received the ticket just in the nick of time to board the plane to Madrid. She'll be arriving tomorrow morning, taking a flight to Lisbon, and then Azores, where she'll be staying with a patron. Thank you very much, John, for a couple nights. This is her first time to Europe, and she's super excited. I'm sitting at the nav station writing this when something catches my peripheral vision. It's a light. It's a boat! My heart jumps in my throat and I rush outside. It's the full moon rising behind the clouds. It is so beautiful outside right now. I'm going to watch. Till next time.